Alright, good evening ladies and gents, welcome back to Compound Interesting. In today's video I want to discuss Otherside. When everyone is paying attention to Dookie Dash and Jimmy the Monkey, Trial of Jimmy the Monkey and Bored Ape Yacht Club, I'm kind of still focused on the Otherside. Even though there hasn't been any major announcements directly from Otherside, there has been some related NFT projects and projects kind of dropping alpha on what might come in regards to Otherside. So let's discuss that in today's video. So when everyone else is zigging, we're zagging. So we're keeping an eye. When everything's quiet about the Otherside, we know that the second trip for Otherside is coming in late March. So if you remember the first trip, there's about a couple of thousand people all within one gaming lobby, all doing the same mission at the same time, all interacting, all able to speak with one another. And the second trip, they said, is going to be even more spectacular, and we're going to be able to fly, and potentially we're not going to be able to play with our avatars yet, but in the future we will be able to play with our avatars. But in today's video I also want to discuss 10KTF, the project that was recently acquired by Yuga Labs that maybe some people still don't know about. But I did a deep dive analysis on 10KTF about 4 months ago, realized this project was even better than I could imagine. It's my second favorite project. I think it's the second best NFT project in my personal opinion. It has the second best team, or has a really, really strong team, and it was acquired by Yuga Labs recently. And at the time I said that 10KTF was criminally undervalued, and it was about 0.6 ETH for a Genesis item, which I said was probably the play at that point. And the reason I thought it was undervalued was because like the market was like, oh, we don't really value this because they're not a profile picture collection. So I'd recommend watching that video if you don't know anything about 10KTF. But it's not a profile picture collection. It's a clothing brand. It's a clothing company. It's, lo and behold, now they're actually going to be dropping a profile picture collection, and they've been dropping hints. 10KTF always talk in riddles. So you can see from this photo that they shared, if you adjust the brightness, you can see the hidden message behind it: burn king for PFP. And they also always mentioned that Genesis is king. So they also released this other image of a birthday card, and I'll let you see if you can see where it says burn king for PFP. Hint, it's to do with the lighting on the letters of the balloon, if you want to try and find it yourself there. But yeah, it's there. So that's confirmed. 10KTF are probably going to drop some sort of profile picture collection, and because of that, 10KTF has been running. And as we know, Yuga Labs owns 10KTF, and Yuga Labs really wants to integrate Wagmi-san and 10KTF into the whole story of the Otherside. I'll play this full clip from Gordon Gunner, the founder of Yuga Labs, talking to people, the founder of 10KTF, and what his plans are with 10KTF. And this was a long time ago, so they probably really advanced this idea that they were just talking about in this podcast back then.
Opportunities.
I mean, I can't think of another Web3 company that's doing this, but you guys created the character Wagmi-san and created this whole narrative. We've been developing the character of Curtis the ape, sure, as sort of our primary, and then Blue the coda. And it just kind of made sense. These are the three characters that I think of when I think of this space now.
Yeah.
And New Tokyo as a location, I think, belongs in Otherside to some extent, because it has the same ethos, it has the same spirit. And it's like, I can't promise that this is going to happen, but it's definitely my vision for it. Is like, I want New Tokyo to be that first place you go to when you come into the Otherside. That's like that you're going and you're meeting Wagmi-san, and he's introducing you to this new world.
All right, so before we move on with 10KTF, I should mention that Gordon Gunner, the founder of Yuga Labs and Bored Ape Yacht Club that you saw in that video there, has taken a leave of absence from Yuga Labs because he has health problems. So I really hope he's okay. I wish him a speedy recovery. And I kind of always thought he was like really the creative brains behind Bored Ape Yacht Club and Yuga Labs. So he's a really key member in Otherside and Bored Ape Yacht Club. So hopefully they have everything in place and he feels comfortable taking a leave of absence to focus on his health, because he was working 14 hour days for the last 2 years. So he needs a bit of time off because he has something, I can't remember exactly what illness, but something very serious. So he really needs the time off. He is a creative genius, but they've just acquired 10KTF, which are full of more creative geniuses. And if you've followed the 10KTF story, you know the lore in the 10KTF universe and Wagmi-san and all of that is second to none. It could even be better than Bored Ape Yacht Club's lore. It's so good. And the brains behind that is Beeple, the most famous NFT artists of all time, and Michael Figge, who's just, he's got a stellar track record as well. And he is now the chief content officer of 10KTF and now also Yuga Labs, and he is like top tier content creator like guy. So now we're looking at a profile picture collection by one of the best content creators in the NFT space, Michael Figge, the entire team at 10KTF, the most famous NFT artist of all time, Beeple, under the umbrella of the most famous NFT team, Yuga Labs, all integrated in Otherside, and they're currently hanging at about 1.3 and, or sorry, actually just 1 ETH, and there's going to be 20,000 of them, so maybe like, well, let me double check that number, but these G tags are what's speculated to be able to burn for PFP, because if you look at the properties of a G tag, this is from 10KTF, the property is a crown, and as we saw, burn crown for PFP. And how do you get one of these G tags? You took one of the Genesis items. So it was actually really clever the way they did it, because all the Genesis items of 10KTF where people sold Pudgy Penguins or, World of Women or Only Force, like projects that aren't as big or popular at the moment, and people sold them off, these bags with random profile pictures on them that the new buyers don't really have any attachment to. So they allowed you to recycle the Genesis items. They're allowing you to recycle these items. So that means it turns it into a blank, like you can see on the left, and you also get this Genesis tag. So the blank no longer has the Genesis property, but the Genesis tag or the G tag on the right has a 1 ETH floor, because this is what's speculated to be a profile picture. But that also means if you have now your own ape or your own profile picture that you want to put onto one of these items, like a backpack or a pair of shoes, you can do that now. So you have a blank item that you can, I'll probably put my ape on my blank. So this is my blank now, the one on the left, and the G tag, because I burned a Genesis item, which was someone else's ape and someone else's dog, and I burnt it for these two items. So how do we know Wagmi-san and 10KTF is going to be integrated directly in the other side? What hints have we got? So we can see Curtis, Blue, and one of the mechs running around this Otherside plot, and that the Otherside dropped on their Twitter page a couple of months ago. So they're walking around this Otherside plot, and what happens the very next day? We see Wagmi-san in a very similar location, and it looks to be in the other side. So Wagmi-san is the main character in 10KTF, and here he went missing for months, and here he reappears in the other side. And they've kind of continually been dropping hints about the other side. Here you can see one of the posts they put up, what's on the other side, and you can always see the little blue liquid that the coda always has. We've spotted that a few times in the photos that 10KTF have shared. Another interesting point about these G tags and the relation to the other side is the number of G tags that there could possibly be. So if we look at this little tweet here, we can see if you have a common Genesis item, you are able to burn it for 1 G tag. If you had an uncommon one, you're able to get 3 G tags. And then an epic one, you're able to get 27 G tags. So if you sum up the number of total possible G tags, if everyone burned their Genesis collections for G tags, the total number would be 21,335 G tags in total. And that's G tags, that's 10KTF's project. Now if we go to the other side's project, we see this number again. The total number of artifacts out of the 100,000 plots of artifacts, there's 21,335. So maybe that's just a coincidence, but that is a very specific number of artifacts, and there's the same number of artifacts as there will be G tags, or a really random number as well. So I don't know how that would work. Like, does each profile picture link up to an artifact on the other side? If you have any speculations about that, drop it in the comments, because I can't really work it out what's the meaning behind that. But I have been talking about artifacts for a while, and that they could be undervalued in my opinion, and I've bought 2 of them because you're going to be able to split them off from your NFT. You're going to be able to separate them from your land. So I think they do deserve a premium, and I don't think a lot of people know about that yet, and I've mentioned that a few times. So we know there's only a couple of days left. If you're watching this, only 1 day left of the Dookie Dash, and I'm sure we're going to get a lot of a lot more information once the Dookie Dash is finished on what's happening. Do a big video when that finally drops, when more information about Dookie Dash and Bored Ape Yacht Club and Trial of the Jimmy the Monkey and the summoning that we're going to see, like this yellow energy source that we see in the robot's head and in the mecha robot's chest area, and this yellow light glowing from the box. Like, does that box contain some sort of infinite energy source? One speculation I've heard. We'll see what happens. I don't want to do too many speculations a day before we'll get some more information. I'll talk about that when that information comes out. But I am very interested in 10KTF and how they will be integrated in the Otherside. Gordon Gonner wants that to be the first place you go in the Otherside is Neo Tokyo. And if 10KTF are getting a profile picture collection soon, will it be cool? Will it be valuable? There's going to be 21,000, up to 21,000 of these profile pictures, and they're sitting about 1 ETH. It does seem quite cheap for such an amazing project, but you know, that is definitely not financial advice. Once I realized this was a profile picture collection, I was like, okay, I'm definitely not selling them at these, even for these prices, even though they pumped a lot. Because the more I learn about 10KTF, the more you get into the story. I know it's quite a complicated story, so it might not be for everyone, but the further down the rabbit hole you go with 10KTF and their connections to the Otherside, the more interested you become in this project, and the more confident and excited about the story and the lore and confidence in the team you get. Not just 10KTF, I'm almost certain that the Bored Ape Yacht Club universe will eventually tie into the Otherside. We know once Curtis the Ape drank the Otherside liquid, the blue liquid, he went to the Otherside. So we know in the Bored Ape Yacht Club, that's a different universe, and you need to time travel or go through some sort of wormhole to get to the Otherside. But maybe that will happen. Maybe that will happen at the summoning that's coming very soon. But I'm sure these all tie in together. There's other projects as well that are kind of layer 2s on the Otherside story, and that's the Mutant Cartel with their mutant hounds. Like, there's been some links there. I forget, there's another project as well that seems to have some ties with the Otherside. They keep putting hints in their lore and in their story relating to the Otherside. So I think 10KTF has the strongest connection for sure, but I'm really, really excited to see. Like, I feel like there's something brewing. Something is really brewing. That's like the name of their website as well. But in reality, I'm just really excited to see what's happening in the Otherside in the next few weeks and few months, and the second trip is going to be a lot of fun in late March. So I'll see you then. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.